Thank you, everybody. I'm really sorry for a couple of minutes. So, we have to start this session in time about this very important uh, biosimilars which are coming up. Hi, Saurabh. How are you? Hi, Samuel. Yes,
Hi sir, how are you?
Dr. Rekha. So, we will begin this session. I'll just project a couple of slides here.
So 12 plus 3, right? The time.
Yeah, should
Yes.
be fine because the number of speakers are not too many here.
Okay,
So,
sir.
so let me share. Is the screen visible here?
Hello.
Yes, sir.
Yes sir.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Speakers are coming in a very big way in our
कहेंगे
practice.
सर घर पे ही हूँ अभी तो
Can somebody take care of this echo which is coming? Somebody speaking. So I have with me Doyens like Mohan Rajan, Saurabh Sinha, and then Samuel will speak on biosimilar for retinal disease and update. Then we have Dr. Arvind Gupta telling us how to select a biosimilar also, and then Dr. Rekha will be telling us about her experiences. So I'm not going to introduce any of these speakers because I feel that's a sheer waste of time because all of them are renowned speakers and are very well known to all the audience. I have a couple of slides just to introduce the topic. We all understand that anti-VEGF have revolutionized the management of so many diseases, and in this very conference there are at least 30-40 sessions going on anti-VEGF. But the issue is everybody agrees they are effective. What is an issue is compliance from the trials to real world scenario. Therefore, the results are not as great as in the trials in the real world. So here comes the role of biosimilars. This is what my feeling is. So is the world of biosimilars, is there a big change in the horizon? Is the time has come that people will shift to biosimilars? Are they safe? Are they effective? So that is the key question because this is what comes in the mind of any retinologist. So whether he should predominantly inject biosimilars or predominantly inject innovator molecules. So because cost is a big issue and the compliance issue becomes primarily because of the cost. We feel that biosimilars are going to rule the world primarily because of affordability. And I have a feeling that they, efficacy-wise, they work equally well. And all of us are using biosimilars. And more the number of biosimilars which enter the market, more the competition, more benefit for the patient. And therefore, compliance can improve and blindness, which all of us are interested in the welfare of the patient, can have a south trend. So from patient point of view, actually, cost affordability is the main issue. Because treatment with all these anti-VEGF is not one-time treatment, and you require multiple injection. So that is the concern, and that is the whole purpose of this webinar. And if experience shows that this newer biosimilar, we already have a lot of experience with Razumab from Intas, and this newer biosimilar being launched by Cipla, Vizumab, if it proves to be same efficacy and same effectivity, then it may have potential to number one, primarily because of the cost issue. You see, this is the comparison of cost issue, and if you notice the top line, the pricing is all in favor of the patient as well as Vizumab is concerned, even lower than the established biosimilar. So this is going to create a lot of competition amongst biosimilars also, and all for the benefit of patient. I think this has got approval from DCGI also, and we are in fact thrilled to have so many biosimilars so that we can choose in the best interest of the patient. So with this, I will stop share and invite the first speaker in this topic. I think Samuel, are you going to share first?
Is my screen visible, sir?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, a very good afternoon to all. Sir, actually you nailed it in a couple of slides that you showed. It brought out the crux of the entire session. And whatever you wanted, actually, price point is a most sensitive issue as far as compliance is concerned, and you nailed it right there. So I'm going to be just elaborating a little bit on those lines itself. So biosimilars, my talk is big change on the horizon. So when I look at the horizon, I do not know how big the change would be, but I know for a fact there is going to be a change. And doctors can actually sit back and relax actually in this, because we are going to be spoiled for choice. Why? Because a lot of pharma houses are going to be fighting the game of clones or the game of biosimilars and warring with each other as to which is the cheapest, which is the most safe, which is the most effective in terms of cheap, safe, and effective. So it all began with the Rani, I would say, of all Zumabs, of all anti-VEGFs, drawing an analogy there, from the house Novartis, which is the parent molecule Lucentis, which is sold in India as Excentrix. So we have the first warring house or the pharma house making the molecule Excentrix from the house Novartis. Then we had the Razumab that was launched from the house Intas. We have Ranizurel from the house Reliance, and then we have Vizumab, last but not the least, from the house Cipla. And we have these primary warring houses fighting with each other, and each of them have a motto, so to say. If I have to draw an analogy from the piece from Game of Thrones where I have taken this from, let's see what those sigils or mottos are. For Novartis, it would be made with Swiss precision, no doubt, but it is priced like the Swiss Rolex. So it's very unaffordable to the Indian masses. So the penetrance of this molecule is going to be lesser and lesser over time as other molecules become effective and cheaper, especially the biosimilars. So as far as Reliance is concerned, their motto I probably feel is we are reliably unreliable, but still we will do business if there is money. As far as Intas is concerned, we make it good, especially when we are the first. They were the first to come up with this biosimilar, but Cipla would go one step ahead probably and would say, we can make it good, but we catch up even better because we are way cheaper. So as far as the war between the houses is concerned, and may the best house win, the biggest advantage for us is they are all made in India. And as far as only 6 approved molecules of US and 35 approved molecules of European Union is concerned, Indian biosimilar market is far more liberal with 68 biosimilars that have been approved. So if you see the biosimilars of ranibizumab that are in the pipeline internationally, the principal amongst them being Formycon and BioEq, Phoenix, Coherus and Samsung, Bioepis, as well as Xlucane or Xbrain. This is from Sweden, some are from Germany, a few from US, and Samsung, as you know, from South Korea. All of them are probably in the preclinical or phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, and have not yet launched full-fledged in the market. So yes, we may fight amongst ourselves, but still it takes us, we should take pride in the fact that we are the ones to obtain the requisite approvals and launch biosimilars in a big way. So let's see, while each of them fight it out, which is the first aspect, which is the cheapest of them. As Dr. Lalit Verma clearly pointed out, if you see, let's not go with the MRPs, let us go with the procurement price to the surgeon. And it clearly stands out that as every successive biosimilar that was launched, it went cheaper and cheaper. And this competition is good, not only definitely for the doctors, but more so for the patients, because the compliance issue is easily met with and they can take more number of injections if they are able to afford it. So every presentation, how it begins with min financial interest, I'm not talking about myself, I'm talking about full financial interest, keeping the patients in mind primarily. Because as we know, we can do cataract one time or LASIK one time, but retinal injections we have to do time after time. Because no matter what you do to the disease, keep on giving injections, the disease have the habit of waking up from the dead and keeping on coming time after time. So as you see diabetics and what they propound as protocol S, it was initially thought that 3 sittings of laser PRP would suffice and the vision would still remain 6/6. But now what is propounded by way of protocol S is that you take monthly injections and the vision still remains 6/6, but there is a gross difference. You get here 6/6 at the cost of losing contrast and field of vision as against injections where you preserve them. So injection is definitely the way forward. And if the quintessential Mahabend test, it means to say that if the patient were your mother or your sister, would you actually go for PRP or would you go for injections, especially considering this criteria? I would go for injections provided I can match up compliance. And the only way to do that, let's say if you require 9 injections, let's say on an average 6 weekly basis in a year, as what the protocol S study says, if I were to take a cheaper molecule, it would cost me somewhere around 72,000 rupees a year. This is definitely more expensive than laser PRP 3 sittings, which would be something like 15 or 1,000, but it is much better than taking corresponding 9 injections of eccentrics. Each probably, I'm just considering the injection cost here, not even the surgeon cost or the cost of injection, would amount to 1,75,000 a year, which is way more than double compared to Cipla. So yes, if the compliance is ensured and the patients can afford, the motto should be keep calm and keep giving anti-VEGFs. It is way better in terms of outcome than giving laser. As far as AMD, the second principal indication is concerned, we now follow commonly what we call as a treat and extend regimen. As you saw from the early on regimen, which was fixed interval dosing, monthly intervals, as what the Anchor, Focus and Marina study showed, you had a good improvement of 10 to 12 letters. As against that, if you gave a 2 monthly or an average only 6 injections in a year, you actually lost letters. So the path was somewhere in between, which we call as a treat and extend regimen, wherein if you give injections on an average, if you count these injections, there would be 3 monthly, then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 more. That would amount to approximately, let's say, 9 injections a year, not as much as 12 injections, not as little as 6 injections. And if you were to substitute all those Lucentis with Vizumabs, it would amount to a cost again of around 72,000 a year, as against the exorbitant cost of Lucentis. Here, 4 injections of Lucentis would actually amount to 9.5 injections of Vizumabs. This I'm taking just the price of the injection, surgeon cost definitely being separate. So here in AMD as well, you keep calm and keep giving anti-VEGFs. So as far as the price is concerned, we have a clear winner here. Let's see the safety and efficacy aspect. Now, the efficacy of any biosimilar will depend on how matched it is compared to the parent molecule. So if you have a fingerprint match, yes, it will definitely be efficacious, but this process is a rigorous process because we are not manufacturing, or rather Cipla is not manufacturing, or any biosimilar company is not manufacturing something that is generic, which is just a chemical similar to the parent molecule. We are manufacturing this. This is a very simple molecule where you can easily make a generic medication. We are making something far more complex, which is a biological drug or a protein, so to say. It is like comparing a cycle to an aeroplane. So biosimilar, you have a protein. So if in a biosimilar, the definite criteria is that the primary structure of the protein has to be similar. It is similar to the parent molecule. And you have minor variations depending from batch to batch, as well as the place where it is actually made. There are variations in quaternary structure, configuration of sugar molecules, and additives. Let's see the first one, variations in quaternary structure. You know, the primary structure of protein is just a sequence of amino acids comparable to the alphabets in a word. Secondary structure would be similar to a word where the alphabets are put together. When words are put together into a sentence, it is very similar to the tertiary structure, and then go on to the paragraph. So if you see, the structure becomes more and more complex. So you are likely to have differences not only varying from batch to batch, but also between different biosimilars manufactured by different pharma houses. So apart from the variations in the quaternary structure, the additives that you actually add to make up the complete drug, or the configuration of the sugar molecules that you add to it, also make a difference. So based on these differences between biosimilars, we can have one of these 3 scenarios. The first is, let's say the original you have and the biosimilar, and the original definitely is better than the biosimilar. This scene is not acceptable because a molecule, though may be cheap, it may not be as efficacious or probably not as safe. So definitely not acceptable. The second scenario, where the original and the biosimilar, let's say, almost equivalent to each other, yes, this is acceptable, and this is what everyone is actually trying to achieve. All the biosimilar manufacturing companies are trying to match the parent molecule in terms of efficacy and safety. Let's look at the third scenario. You have the original or the parent molecule, and you have a biosimilar actually that turns out to be better than the original molecule. And this this situation is definitely more than acceptable. And this is what the companies, now that they know how to make a biosimilar, they should try to achieve. So when I say better than biosimilar means bio better, it is a term now that is frequently used in the pharma circles, where you alter the pharmacokinetics and the tolerability of the molecule for a specific indication. You make it probably safer and you make it longer lasting inside the eye. And people have been able to do where a biosimilar of trastuzumab or obinutuzumab have acted better in cases of breast cancer and CLL. So why not in the eye? So when I am going to look back and gaze at the horizon, what is it to me for Cipla? Cipla should aim towards making bio better, or for that matter, any pharma house should aim towards making bio better as compared to a biosimilar. With this, I end my talk. Thank you all.
Thank you, Saumil, for putting this in a very, very simple way and easy to understand also. You see, we all understand that similar is similar, only similar can't be same, because you're not following the same E. coli or from where this is being processed. So, what are the challenges of making it bio better? You see, that is the biggest challenge. The three examples which you showed pictorially conveys everything. But you see, is it so simple that this can be made bio better easily?
It's definitely not simple, sir. I mean, it's not that simple, and that is the biggest challenge ahead. If they can do something, see, the price point is there. They are definitely going to do well based on the price point. But if they have better pharmacokinetics, I think they will go a long way, and probably they will have a better export value as well. And they can actually substitute for the parent molecule as well.
See, I know export value and all these things, but believe me, hi Mohan, we are waiting for you. Yeah. See, I understand, because even Inta's biosimilar hasn't been able to, being exported to Africa or Nepal or SAARC countries. I have been struggling with that why can't even our neighboring countries use that? So somehow there's a issue. You see, you rightly pointed out that cost is not the issue. Cost is not the only issue, because efficacy and safety is more important than, because I don't want to use a molecule which brings some side effects in my patient, brings out inflammation in my patient, or creates some issues and decreases my image also. You see, issues that I am known for something, or Saurav or Mohan or Avneendra or Puneet, very happy to see you here. You see, we start using just to help the patient, but tomorrow cost come ho jayega, but in effect you lose the patient and lose the entire family or his close contacts because something has resulted. Saurav?
Well, I agree with you. They've given me 2 sample vials, Cipla. I have not used both of them. I'm waiting for neovascular glaucoma patients, NVB patients. I will use them first, because I'm very scared. Exactly what you said. Efficacy more important, the side effect part of it. I don't mean to, I have nothing against this. I did the same for Azimab also. So it's not that I love Avastin or anything. No, price is absolutely bang on, but I will use it to MDG patients, see for reaction and for my own thing, and I'll keep asking everybody, Saumil, everybody, use kya? That's all I'm going to ask for. Saumil, please go ahead.
Sir.
Yeah, I'll come to you. People at center side are waiting that I will use first, and then other people will use.
Same here,
there is an apprehension. There's a fear. Yes, Saumil.
Sir, Dr. Saurav, I can identify with the fear that you have, and I've done a similar thing. I've actually used it in patients that are scheduled for surgery. Preoperatively, like how you give Avastin, in this case, you give Vizumab, because even if the molecule is going to have certain toxicity, it's going to get washed off within 48 hours when you actually do a surgery. And when you go inside, you will know whether you're getting that angiofibrotic switch, even a little bit, as what you saw preoperatively, it means that it works a little bit. So I've used it in those patients.
I would like to add here, I would endorse what Lalit Verma says. I think the cost is a factor, but more important than that is the safety profile of any molecule. The safety profile is something which we have to keep in mind. I think the topmost in our mind. Okay, before we venture into new molecules like this. Even the efficacy comes second. The safety profile comes first. Efficacy, then the cost.
First is safety. First is always safety. You see, Samuel, the example which you gave, I also was wanting that But believe me, that is not a real world scenario. In a DME or ARMD, it's not 1 or 2 days of pre-surgical patient which you're trying to compare. That may not be similar. So it has to be a patient of SCAR patient or ARMD patient or a patient like NVG, where you see that patient ko chalo hafta do hafta dekh liya, nothing happens. Then you try and say vision of 3/60, never in one-eyed patient first. So that will give you confidence, and that will, you see, I'm sure, 100% sure that this will prove to be effective. Same happened with Razumab story also. Neither any views? Or Dr. Rekha?
We need to have experience.
Yeah.
We need to have experience about first the safety and then the efficacy. Then it comes into the practice.
Absolutely.
Efficacy comes second, safety comes first.
That's what Mohan Rajan said. See, all of us agree, and that is the reason I advised, or in fact, I told Cipla people that let's design a common performa. Let Samuel, Saurav, Mohan, Avindra, Rekha, everybody use it, and let's share on a Zoom platform with what has been your experiences. Because once the fear also is shared, mera dar bhi share ho gaya, so then you become a share in the sense that you tend to use it more often. Welcome, Nati. So with these few words, I think we'll move on to the next talk by Dr. Avneet Gupta. We'll keep having discussions in between just to make it more exciting. Yes, Avneet, can you share your slides?
Yeah.
And tell us about selecting. What are your tips of selecting a biosimilar? Are you wedded to, my honest question would be, what is the place of biosimilar in today's market? Are you still wedded to the Lucentis and Eccentrics or Aflibercept? Or you are this thing to use biosimilars in every patient, even your own relative. Yes.
Thank you, Cipla, and thank you, Dr. Lalit, for giving this opportunity to talk about selecting a biosimilar. At the moment, it's a tough question because we don't have much experience about Vizumab. We have a lot of experience about Razumab. So actually, this question is difficult to answer at this stage. With the various pharmaco agents coming into practice, anti-VEGF has become the mainstay of treatment in diseases like DME, ARMD, and RVOs. Various anti-VEGF which are available in the market one is Avastin, we have been using for years together from somewhere around 2005. Ranibizumab, which is available as Eccentrix, which is an innovator product. Then we have two biosimilars, Razumab and Vizumab. I don't think so anybody, because Reliance, they have marketed it, but I don't know anybody has used it or not. So I'm not talking about Razurel. What are the experiences? So the two available biosimilars are Razumab and Vizumab. We have good experience with Intas biosimilar, but Vizumab has been launched just a month back, so we don't have much of experience. Eylea and Peginix are other two drugs which are available in the market. The indications are neovascular AMD, DME, and vascular occlusion. Again, what we were discussing, I have put up into this slide. After safety, first is the safety, then comes the efficacy. And the best way to check the efficacy is give it in a RVO patient, and you will, or a CRVO patient, you will see the edema subsiding within a day. So if it works in an RVO patient, that means it will work in an AMD patient and also in diabetic macular edema. So my thing is what Dr. Saurav said, first is the safety, or what Dr. Saumil said, safety. First, I'll look into my preoperative patients and an NVG patients. Then I'll choose a patient of an RVO and see whether the drug is efficacious or not. What is important, whether it's a type of anti-VEGF or number of injections. I give a list of patients. When I do a counseling, I said these are the drugs available to you. Now, patient says कि डॉक्टर साहब ये आइडिया लगवाना है, ये 60,000 का इंजेक्शन है, ये और इंजेक्शन से ज्यादा अच्छा काम करेगा, तो एक ही इंजेक्शन में हमारा वो बीमारी ठीक हो जाएगी. बट नो, दैट इज नॉट द आंसर. इट्स The answer is number of injections. It's not the anti-VEGF which matters. It's the number of injection which matters. And we'll see in subsequent slides that number of injection is key to the success of visual outcome. And this number of injection adds on to the financial burden, what Dr. Saumil and Dr. Lalit has spoken. Coming to neovascular AMD, we know the landmark trial, which was Marina trial, and it was a monthly dosing for 2 years. And the results at 12 months follow-up was 95% had improved or stable versus 62% of control subject. More importantly, 34% had at least 15 letter improvement that was maintained over 2 years. But again, the problem here is continuous monthly treatment for 2 years. I don't think so with Eccentrix or Eylea or with any drug will achieve this target of monthly dosing schedule. So to reduce the number of injections, then came the Pronto trial, 3 loading doses of Lucentis followed by PRN. Results of visual acuity remained same as Marina and Anchor, but the average number of injections decreased. So in Pronto, the number of injections decreased and the mean visual acuity improvement was 9.3 injections. Another trial for AMD was CAT, which was a head-to-head comparison between Lucentis and Avastin. And it was the secondary outcome of this was monthly versus PRN. So if we see this graph, monthly bevacizumab was non-inferior to monthly ranibizumab. Both the groups had 8 versus 8.5 letter gain respectively. PRN bevacizumab was non-inferior to PRN ranibizumab, 5.9 letter gain versus 6.8 letter gain. But Lucentis showed trend of better response of better drying up on OCT. But the visual recovery was almost same. What we conclude from this is number of injections are important, not the agent. So monthly injections had a better result as compared to PRN injections, whether it was Avastin or Lucentis. So you have to give at least 9 to 10 injections a year to maintain good visual acuity. Diabetic macular edema, again, pan-VEGF blockade, Avastin more economical, but safety issues. Eccentric is the gold standard. Razumab or Vizumab gold standard and are cost effective. Eylea works in the patients where the vision is less, and if you combine with laser, the number of injections goes down. If we see DRCR net study, which was head-to-head trial between Alfrafizumab, Bevacizumab, and Ranibizumab, what we see here was the gain in a letter was almost similar in all the 3 groups. Avastin group had little gain, but the important thing here, what you see here, the number of injections. First year, the number of injection in Alfrafizumab group is 9, in Bevacizumab group is 9.7, and Ranibizumab group is 9.4, meaning thereby every patient of diabetic macular edema or central involving diabetic macular edema will require somewhere between 9 to 10 injections per year, which is a huge financial burden on the patient. At the end of 2 years, the protocol T results, the difference in visual outcome was almost same, that is 12.3 with Ranibizumab and 12.8 with Alfrafizumab. If you see 2-year study, again, in first year, you can see there were 9 to 10 injections were required. Second year, you see 5 to 6 injections are required. So it's a continuous VEGF inhibition, which tends to improve the vision. It's not one injection, it's continuous VEGF inhibition, which will end up in good visual acuity plus a good diabetic control. So all 3 anti-VEGF agents on average produce substantial visual acuity improvement by 1 month sustained through 1 year. On average, greater improvement occurred with aflibercept, but relative effect varied by initial visual acuity. At the end of 2 years, ranibizumab and aflibercept was almost similar. Bevacizumab had lesser effect, reducing macular edema than the other two agents, regardless of starting acuity. Few eyes in any group had substantial visual acuity loss. Median number of injections, what we have discussed, 9 to 10 in all three groups in first year, and 5 in second year, and third year, fourth year, and fifth year studies are also available. And they say at least 2 to 3 injections in third year, fourth year, and fifth year. Coming to branch vein occlusion, this was a LEVO trial where they compared ranibizumab, aflibercept, and bevacizumab for macular edema secondary to central retinal vein occlusion, a randomized clinical trial. And you can see bevacizumab was not non-inferior to ranibizumab. Aflibercept was non-inferior to ranibizumab, meaning by bevacizumab had slightly lesser results, but aflibercept and ranibizumab had almost similar result, and there was no statistically different difference between the two groups. In the Brighter study was a combination of superior improvement in BCVA with ranibizumab plus minus laser compared to laser group. So if you see the only laser group, the improvement was less. But in the group where the adjunctive, that is the yellow line, the adjunctive laser treatment was given, the number of injections were less, and the visual gain was almost the same as compared to monotherapy. Comparing the price of the available drug which is available in the market, all the biosimilars, if we see the cost price of Vizumab is 8,200. And if you need 9 injections, it will cost somewhere around 72,000, as compared to Razumab, which is 10,840, which will cost somewhere around 94,000, and Eccentrix is costlier. So once you are choosing a drug, and if you are giving a repeated treatment, cost is an essential determinant for the patient to continue the treatment. If the cost is exorbitant, usually because these patients, diabetic patients or AMD patients, are suffering with multi-systemic disorders. A diabetic patient has to go to a nephrologist, has to go to a diabetologist, has to go for a diabetic foot. So he has a gamut of physician in his line, and every week he has to visit one physician, and that adds on to the cost. And with the OCT cost and the surgeon cost, each I think patient will be spending somewhere between 15 to 20,000 for his vision. So limitations with Vizumab is it's a new launch, no peer-reviewed publication available. We are gaining personal experience, has used in 2 patients. Safety and efficacy appears to be satisfactory. I have given in last 2 weeks, so I cannot comment about the long-term safety. Need more data and personal experience to convince all of you, yes, this is a drug which is comparable to Razumab or to Eccentrix. To summarize, every disease, neovascular, AMD, DME, vascular occlusion need sustained VEGF inhibition. Choose a drug which is financially cost-effective to the patient. If patient is covered under various schemes like CGHS, ECHS, or PSU, patient usually brings the vial along with this. Then choose according to the available data. Single dose preparation is always useful in panel and insurance patient. Preferred drug of choice is ranibizumab, Razumab, Vizumab, or Eccentrix. In select group of patients like PCV and DME, where vision is less than 20/50, aflibercept is the drug of choice. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Avinendra, for a very comprehensive talk. And you have given a very, very beautiful idea of how to go about using biosimilars. We have used some Ranibizumab, which is made by Reliance. And we also found that the box of the Ranibizumab is the same as the Vizumab. So obviously the same guy is making for both the Reliance company, and we have not had very great results. We used about 10 or 12 of Ranibizumab and not had very great results with Ranibizumab. So
Mohan?
Yes.
No, I believe Cipla has outsourced to the same Reliance manufacturing. Reliance has the manufacturing part. So they're using the same lab and getting it, and they're giving it cheaper than...
I know, they're giving it cheaper. Yes, that I know. So packing, if you see the packing, it is exactly the same.
Sir, actually the DCGI approval for the drug is from Reliance side. Cipla is only the marketing agency for Razumab. So the DCGI approval is given for the Ranibizumab, which is produced by Reliance.
No,
the data what they will be showing is of the Reliance data, not their data.
The 16 centers what they have chosen is all done by the Ranibizumab group, so the Reliance group. But I just wanted to ask you, have you had any experience, or I'm not going to ask panelists, Dr. Natarajan's opinion also, Soumil's and Saurav's also, whether they have an experience with the Ranibizumab and how effective it is, how safe it is, and how effective it is also. Leave alone the cost. Leave alone. We are talking about safety and the efficacy profile. Ranibizumab, and have you used it before?
Yeah, I used it. I used it because Jaideep uses a lot. My consultant in hospital, Jaideep, he uses a lot.
Now, what is his feedback?
It's good. Only one patient, because when they posted for one patient, I said, how did you post here? I don't know what is it. Then Jaideep said, no, sir, I've used 4 patients and you can safely use it, he told me.
Yeah. Soumil, what's your take on this?
Sir, I haven't used it extensively. I have used it only in 2 patients so far. And the reason why I have used it is because a patient got the vial with him. Because he was in Reliance, and I don't know whether it's a common practice there, but they had given the vial to the patient when I had prescribed anti-VEGF. And I said that with your responsibility, I'm giving you this because I'm not sure about the sterility, the safety, efficacy issues. And he was quite confident. And I injected both the patients were BRVO patients, and they both did very well with even Ranibizumab.
Okay.
So there was significant.
Saurav, thanks, Soumil. Saurav is there?
Yes, sir. 2 patients. Good efficacy, 1 month, good response. I got samples of them, sir.
I have not used it till date, sir.
I have not prescribed myself, not available in our hospital pharmacy.
We used about 10 or 12 till now, and we have not had very great results with that. I want to stress one more point, that Razumab, which is made by the Intas company, of course it works very well, but the pre-operative, when we give the Razumab, absolutely there's no angiofibrotic reaction at all. The vasculature is still the same prior to vitrectomy. I do not know whether you had the same experience with other groups as well.
I have found it to be quite efficacious. I have had good experience with Razumab as well, even when I've used it pre-operatively. I don't know how much of a gap do you give before you enter for surgery? 3 days. Okay. So same with me as well. Yes. 48 to 72 hours.
Yes.
So I think it should show signs of angiofibrotic switch right then.
So surprisingly, we found that in a few patients of Razumab, we were not able to, and still it was bleeding like hell. And we found that Razumab, but when we used the Avastin, okay, nowadays we're using Avastin for the pre-operative, only for the pre-operative cases, we're using the Avastin now. So coming back to Avinandra, I just wanted to ask you, because there are a lot of apprehensions about switching over to a new molecule, okay? People are used to accent rates because they know the efficacy, the safety profile, and they have burnt their fingers. Many of them with Avastin. They have had a bad experience with Avastin. So when you want to switch over to a new product like a Vizumab or something like that, what are the things you will keep in mind? You will straight away switch over, or you will do something like I don't know how you will.
No, sir. First thing is what I have mentioned in my talk also. First thing is the safety issue. Whether it's giving any immunogenicity or any kind of reaction. And the best way is to test is you go for pre-op patients. Second thing is you choose patient whose vision is less and you see whether there is a reaction or not. Then comes the efficacy part. To check the efficacy, what I want to see is RVO patients are the best patients. Because RVO, if you give injection anti-VEGF, the edema subsides within 2 or 3 days, and next day you do the OCT, you will find almost a flat OCT. So
but
if you...
AG, the issue is RVO, I have the best prognosis also. You see,
yeah.
I agree. RVO, what I published a couple of years back, that one day wonder. You see, before I reached the OPD, patient got an OCT done, and OCT from, you see, more than 1,000 came down to 300 or so. So that was the happiest patient. But RVO have faster resolution, but...
So that means that the drug is efficacious, because in diabetics, it's multifactorial. The control, whether the patient is responsive to the treatment, whether the inflammatory element is there. So you can't come to a direct conclusion whether the drug is working or not. So RVO will give us a...
Let me ask one question to you. Once you do your first patient, what are you going to ask the patient? Sort of, because I know, suppose you are planning an RVO patient on Monday or maybe Tuesday. So what do you tell the patient? I'm going to try another drug. Consent is very important. How do you talk to a patient?
Yeah.
I have already counseled a patient of mine. He is a very intelligent school teacher, and I'm giving him next week my first Vizumab. He is not very well off, no insurance, nothing. So I told him I told him about Cipla around a month ago when they first came along, and I kept telling him the Cipla story again and again. New medication, I'll get a free vial. So he's all happy to have the free vial. I've counseled him for a month now, and he's read on the net. He's found everything out. I showed him the box last week when he came for a checkup. He's scheduled for injection next week, and he's totally sold on that. I know this is negative, positive. I don't know what kind of counseling this is, wrong or right, but I want to.
I've used
one second. My issue is, you see, Avnendra, Rekha, all of you have now a lot of experience with Intas biosimilar. Okay.
Yes.
We have experience. So, sort of, will your patient, are you within your conscious say that I will inject this one which I have no experience vis-a-vis the other biosimilar which have experience?
No,
so
sir.
That is the issue. You see, how do you talk?
That is the issue.
My problem is I have a lot of difficulty in talking. You see, why, even though you may say I am doing free of cost for you. So issue is to bell the cat. Rekha, how do you bell the cat?
Yes.
Rekha?
Sir, we did that clinical study where it was double blind. So we were giving both Lucentis and biosimilar injections.
Yeah.
So not any major issues we felt, sir. Only one patient had a syncope, and that was, again, it was concluded that not related to the biosimilar study medication.
So Samuel, your thought on this? How do you talk?
Sir,
apart from pre-visit?
So what I do, the strategy is to reduce the cost to, see, if I give it to non-affording patients. That's the first criteria. The second thing is I tell them that compared to an off-label injection, this is a DCGI approved injection, though it is new in the market. So it does not suffer from the inherent side effects that probably an aliquoted drug would suffer. I'm giving it to you at a lesser cost than the aliquoted drug because I cannot vouch for its efficacy right away. But there are ample studies that have proved that this drug is very similar to the parent molecule that is there. So this is the way I counsel, and it is usually the cost issue that the patient has.
If I am your patient, I'm going to say, Dr. Sahab, cost ki baat nahi. A lot of poor patients tell me this, sir, cost ka issue nahi, meri aankh theek rehni chahiye. You see, this is what is the challenge. You see, I agree with your first part. I will tell him that this is an approved drug. It has been approved by Government of India. Once I tell him that it is approved by Government of India, and if I say you are the first one to try, that will negate. So I will never tell him that you are the first patient to be tried upon. So I will say this is a new medication which has come, approved medication, so I am giving you.
Yes, sir. So I agree with that. And Saurabh sir, please.
I agree with what Somal just said. It occurred to me, it's a very encouraging thing to say that this is superior to Avastin. And I can touch my heart and say that.
Yeah.
This is superior to Avastin. I think you have to comparatively explain to the patient what is good and what is right or not. So I think
that's a good point.
It's better than Avastin. It's a very correct fact.
Yeah, Doshi, what are you trying to say?
Yes.
This lady is trying to say something. Jinal
Doshi?
Sir, I just meant if we can move to the next speaker because it's...
Yeah, we will finish it.
No, we'll go to the next speaker.
No problem, sir. Thank you.
Don't worry. We have...
Sir, actually, there
is more of a panel discussion here.
Sir, there is what Cipla is telling us ki they are now in process of producing this drug, and the Q&A, the quality control is being controlled by Cipla. So they are saying rest assured with the quality what we will be bringing in the market, but that has to be confirmed by the panel of doctors.
AG, one thing I'm telling you is this word of mouth does not matter here. You see, if the word comes from A, B or C, maybe Mohan is more reliable than Lalit Verma, that's okay. But you see, in terms of anything which is going inside the eye, so we have to have evidence. We have to have evidence.
Yeah,
today, I told Cipla people that Reliance ka molecule hai and you are marketing it.
Yes.
Reliance is not known for pharma. Reliance is known for, you see, other things like, high-tech things and 4G and other.
Sir, Reliance is one of the biggest marketer of biologics.
Yeah. No, but
Reliance Biosciences, and I have been using their Relisil from long time back. So, somewhere around 11 years back, I have been using their Relisil.
Okay. Yes, Saurabh.
And I accept what Avindra is saying, and I understand what he's saying. But again, passingly what was said, Cipla has no role in this. Quality control, nothing. They have not promised. They are not even opening and checking what is there inside that. Whatever Reliance is giving them, they are just marketing. Like what Mohan said, packaging is the same.
Yes.
They have no efficacy tests, nothing that they are doing to this. I wish they were.
Mohan, when will you start using Vizumab?
I already started using Vizumab. I've done it in 3 patients.
Okay.
But I will choose. Avinendra's talk is very, very, enlightening talk, I would say. We'll use it in patients who got fairly poor prognosis. So reduced vision, and these patients probably may be the starting point for you. And you can always tell that this is an approved drug. Somil said it very correctly, approved drug, and it is better than Avastin. And also Cipla has got a very good track record. Please understand. They may not have a track record in anti-VEGFs, but they got a fantastic track record as far as the ophthalmic drugs is concerned. They got many people, even Ciplox, on other antibiotics or whatever, the range of medication, many people are aware of the Cipla, this thing. So I think...
Meaning thereby, Mohan Rajan can never have PCR? What I'm trying to say...
It's not that. Please understand, it's not that. If I have a PCR, I can manage it better.
Yeah.
Yes. I can manage it better than anybody else. That's what I would say.
So I agree with these three points. One Samuel and one Saurabh said, and one you are saying, and AG also said that track record is very good. It's better than Avastin, and it's approved drug. I think once we start, this is the way I'm going to counsel.
Sir, there is an important information right now which Snehal has just put in over here. She's made a point that Saurabh sir in the chat box, Cipla does all quality checks before we get the batch of biosimilar.
I would like to ask, how do they do quality check?
She has made a statement here. Snehal, please speak up.
Box is exactly the same. How do you do the quality check? And they have done the quality check is done by the Reliance in the 16 centers. They have chosen. The Reliance has done it for the Ranuriziral.
Other thing which bothers me, Samuel, and we showed that comparative chart. Reliance is selling the same Dibbi, higher cost, and they are selling it at lower cost. So who is absorbing the difference, or who is cheating us?
Natti's opinion I want. Natti?
No. That is why I called, because when that sample came, I said, how can you just send a sample of the intravitreal without sending me the details of the study? Then they send me. Then they call the company, ask, how do I rely that whatever you have done is good? So one of the things, as Mohan, you said, Cipla had their unit in Goa, and I remember, I don't know whether I went with Lalit or there.
Yeah, I was there.
We both went. You only took me, I think. And when we went to that unit, I think because I know the owners, they are in the gym with me, the Hamid family. So what I'm saying, their products are excellent. But here, I was a little shocked yesterday that they are doing it. I don't know, where is their unit? He's saying, no, we are not bought a unit. They are using the Reliance unit. So I don't know. How they will do a quality check, I'm not sure.
So let's.
What I want, somebody can from Snehal or somebody can talk from the Cipla side.
I think let's move to Dr. Rekha first, and after that we'll come back to discussion.
After that we can have the talk. Yes.
You see, let's do justice to the entire session. And I know a lot of interesting points are going to come up. You see, my ultimate aim is our patient should benefit.
Correct.
And I am willing to, go ahead and start injecting Vizumab, provided within bold capital letters, we know it is going to be safe. And safety is of, as AG said, Saurav, everybody said, that safety is of paramount importance. And the day, believe me, it turns out to be safer and equivalent to Razumab, then I think this will become, as I showed my slide, #1 biosimilar as of now.
What Lalit, one more point is whether the Cipla employees will take for their own parents, even if it is given free.
Yeah, I know. I have already spoken to them. Dr.
Yes.
Rekha, can you start sharing your presentation?
Yes, sir.
Very interesting discussion going on. And I'm happy that Swami presented in a very nice way. Dr. Rekha?
Good afternoon, sir. I'm here to present the phase 3 study of the
Share your screen.
Sir.
Rekha.
Yes, sir.
Madam, please share your screen.
You have to share, if not the screen, at least the credit card.
Sir.
Good. Mohan.
I need a debit card.
Share the screen. Ida.
What, Mohan? Where is your father?
Nutty finger on your lips.
Yes.
Yes. Now we can see.
Dr. Rekha.
Oh, yes, sir.
Yes, madam.
Rajat. So I'm here to present that phase 3 clinical study of the Cipla, sir. The efficacy and safety of Cipla's biosimilar ranibizumab versus innovator ranibizumab for patients with wet age-related macular degeneration. So the age-related macular degeneration is the leading cause of irreversible blindness among age group of 50 years and above. And this neovascular form of the disease is characterized by the choroidal neovascularization, that is abnormal growth and new blood vessels under or within the macula. And it is classified as classic occult angiographic patterns, which was associated with various degrees of aggressiveness of disease, vision loss, and response to various treatment options. The VEGF endothelial growth factor A is a diffusible cytokine, promotes angiogenesis and vascular permeability. The VEGF A binds its receptors VEGF R1 and VEGF R2 on the surface of endothelial cells. This binding leads to the endothelial cell proliferation, vascularization, neovascularization, and vascular leakage, which contribute to the progress of the neovascular form of age-related macular degeneration. So ranibizumab, it's a monoclonal antibody fragment targeted against human vascular endothelial growth factor A. This binds with high affinity to the VEGF A isomers and reduces endothelial cell proliferation, vascular leakage, and new blood vessel formation. So the safety and efficacy of ranibizumab for treatment of neovascular age-related macular degeneration has been approved by multiple clinical studies. So the present study was taken up to use biosimilar ranibizumab developed in India, that is from the Reliance Group, in treatment of neovascular wet age-related macular degeneration. So the study is prospective, multi-center, randomized, double-blind, 2-arm, parallel group, active control, comparative clinical study to evaluate efficacy and safety of Cipla's ranibizumab biosimilar versus Lucentis in patients with neovascular age-related macular degeneration. The aim of the study is to evaluate efficacy and safety of ranibizumab biosimilar versus Lucentis in patients with neovascular age-related macular degeneration. The study period was between July 2018 and November 2019. There were 16 centers, study centers were included across India. These are the list of the study centers all over India. The objective of the study, that is primary objective, this is to compare efficacy of intravitreal injections of ranibizumab biosimilar or Lucentis in preventing vision loss as determined by the proportion of patients who lost fewer than 15 letters in visual acuity at week 16 compared with the baseline. And a secondary objective is to evaluate other efficacy parameters, immunogenicity, safety, and tolerability of ranibizumab biosimilar versus Lucentis up to week 24. So the methodology, the 106 subjects were included in ranibizumab biosimilar group and 53 subjects in the Lucentis group. The dosing schedule was ranibizumab biosimilar 0.5 milligrams or Lucentis once every 4 weeks for the treatment period of 24 weeks. Initial double-blind period for 16 weeks, followed by open-label phase till week 24. This is the chronology of the methodology, what we have done in the clinical study. The first week enrolling the patients, then randomizing to one of the two groups, and they received the injections at 0, 4, 8, and 12 weeks. And then at 16 weeks, the assessment of the response was done. Following that, it was an open label, and the study carried out up to the 24 weeks. And the assessment of immunogenicity was done at baseline, week 16 and week 24. And also pharmacokinetic assessment was done in the about 24 subjects. The inclusion criteria of the study was patients with active primary or recurrent subfoveal lesions with classic or occult CNV, secondary to AMD in study group, and male or female patients of age more than 15 years, and the best corrected visual acuity using ETDR charts of 20 by 40 to 20 by 320 Snellen's equivalent in the study eye. The exclusion criteria were the patients who had received a treatment with vetroporphyrin photodynamic therapy in the study eye within 6 months or in a non-study eye within 1 week prior to randomization, or patients who have received a previous external beam radiation therapy or transpupillary thermotherapy or subfoveal focal laser photocoagulation in the study eye, and patients who have received laser photocoagulation, either juxtafoveal or extrafoveal, in the study eye within 1 month prior to randomization. And the patients who underwent any surgeries like intraocular surgery, including a cataract surgery, within 2 months in the study eye prior to randomization, or concurrent intraocular condition in the study eye that could require medical or surgical intervention during the study period or could contribute to loss of at least 2 Snellen's equivalent lines of best corrected visual acuity. Patients who have got an uncontrolled glaucoma, that is intraocular pressure more than 30 millimeters of mercury, despite the treatment with anti-glaucoma medications or history of glaucoma filtering surgery in the study. The patients who are excluded again were the history of idiopathic or autoimmune associated uveitis in either eye, infectious conjunctivitis, keratitis, scleritis, or endophthalmitis in either eye, and history of diabetes mellitus. The results which were analyzed, the primary outcome, that is proportion of patients who lost fewer than 15 letters in visual acuity from baseline to 16 week. In a biosimilar group, it was 98%. In Lucentis, it was 100% at 16 week. And week 24, it was 99% in biosimilar group. And in Lucentis group, it was 100. Since there was no difference, the difference in proportion of patients who lost fewer than 15 letters in visual acuity from baseline to week 16 and week 24 was statistically not significant between the two arms. The secondary outcome, that is proportion of patients who gained at least 15 letters in visual acuity from baseline to week 16. So in biosimilar group, it was 24 in week 16 and 32 in week 24. In Lucentis group, it was week 16 in 32 and in week 24, it was 43. So the difference in proportion of patients who gained at least 15 letters in visual acuity from baseline to week 16 and week 24 was not statistically significant between the two arms. Another secondary outcome, that's a main change in the best corrected visual acuity, that is number of letters from baseline to week 24. From baseline, it was 44, and from day one, it improved to 52 in biosimilar and 53 in Lucentis group. Again, 54 in biosimilar group at week 24 and 56 in Lucentis group at week 24. So the difference in mean number of letters gained from baseline to this group. and 1 death occurred in a biosimilar group, but no subjects were discontinued from the study due to the treatment emergent adverse events. Immunogenicity assessment was done. All the samples analyzed in the study were negative for anti-ranibizumab biosimilar ranibizumab antibodies and anti-Lucentis antibodies. There were no apparent immunologically mediated safety or efficacy concerns reported in the study. To conclude, ranibizumab biosimilar has comparable efficacy profile to that of innovator ranibizumab based on the efficacy variables. The incidence of adverse events was comparable between two treatment arms, supporting the similarity in the safety profile. The safety profile observed during this study is in line with the known safety profile of ranibizumab. Immunogenicity samples from all subjects were negative for anti-drug antibodies against ranibizumab and no immunogenicity concerns. So, ranibizumab biosimilar may be considered as a viable alternative to innovator ranibizumab in treating neovascular wet age-related macular degeneration. So, these are the references which are used for this study. Thank you, sir.
Beautiful.
Thank you, Dr. Rekha.
Yes, sir.
DIA and the spondyloarthropathy and the vasculitis.
Who is here? So in any case, this study is, after seeing all the slides, quite compelling that it is non-inferior and it's a useful alternative to the innovator. Any comments, Saurabh?
So, ma'am's, of course, a proper presentation as such. After we finished her discussion, I have a series of, if you can open your WhatsApp, and this is for Dr. Professor Mohan Rajan and Dr. Natarajan. There is a long list of things that after, I think let's finish Dr. Rekha's discussion. Then I'll come to this WhatsApp group that we have along.
Okay. So, Dr. Rekha, did you do any pharmacokinetic study also?
Yes, sir. Pharmacokinetic study was also done in 24 subjects, sir.
Because you...
But not much of drug in the blood was noticed, sir, because of only 0.5.
Your results were very magical and, as expected in the sense that non-inferiority in terms of gain, loss, everything, and, graphs looked absolutely stereotyped in non-inferior trials.
Yes.
And but in any case, you see, wherever, even though the p-values were not significant, there was always an edge of the yellow bars. Wherever you showed yellow, they were either 5% or 8% higher than this thing. Your comment on this?
Sir, Lalit Verma, sir, I was wanting to comment on that itself. On all the primary and secondary outcomes that you see, there is always a trend towards the innovator molecule being superior, though not statistically significant. And I feel that is purely on the account of a small sample size. If you were to probably
I did notice that, and you are also a sharp observer, I must confess. Same thing you observed. But I wanted Rekha's comment on that. How do you, explain that they are same molecules or similar molecules or whatever? The graph is always, you see, yellow wale, but slightly favorable.
Yes, sir. That was Lucentis group, sir.
Yeah. So today, Dr. Rekha, again the same question. Since you have been involved in this study, you feel enough confidence about its safety, efficacy-wise. Efficacy-wise and safety, you said there's no difference at all. Statistically, p-value, no difference between them. So are you safe that tomorrow you can give in your auntie?
Yes, sir. Because we have given, when we were giving the drug, we were not knowing which drug they have provided. It was double blind. And this is a CSR report of all the centers which they have provided, sir.
Wonderful, wonderful. No, that adds to the confidence which we are, holding this so-called launch webinar of Vizumab. Yes, this gives us confidence.
Yes, sir.
Yes, Saurabh.
This is for Professor Rajan, sir.
Mohan wanted to make a comment here.
No.
I think it's a fantastic study by Rekha. And one of the 16 centers of that Rani Ruchiral group.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, that is very good. Yes, I think they've done a very good study, double-blind, active controls, and they have found out the efficacy, safety, everything is almost matching the innovator group, I would say. And
was the study funded by Cipla or Reliance?
Reliance, sir.
Reliance. It is the Reliance study.
Reliance study.
Only the Cipla is quoting.
Dr. Rekha, is it being published?
No, sir, not yet published.
You are in the process of publishing?
Yeah, you should publish that. You see,
Yes,
publication.
Then I think we will have a peer review to question same thing. And I also checked Lalit with the Cipla. I said, how do you rely on Reliance product? They said Reliance makes it, but they have their SOP, their quality
Sure,
check.
you see, I agree with your question. I've already discussed with the Cipla people. You see, once somebody was talking about Cipla brand, Mohan and all.
Yeah.
You see, Cipla's R&D team, I'm sure, I'm confident that they would not attach their name into it till the time their team had visited, their medical branch has visited.
And I believe they are not marketing team, Reliance. They are co-producing the drug.
No, so sir. Let's come to Saurav Sinha's question.
Okay, just give me around a minute and a half.
Yeah, 2 minutes.
For Professor Natarajan and Professor Mohan Rajan, sir.
Yes.
Both of us, Dr. Rajan and me, wanted that Snehal should come in from Cipla side. So she has texted me here that because this is an open group, she cannot come in and speak. I will quickly read to you what exactly she has written to me right now on WhatsApp.
Yeah.
Sir, and this is very important. From what I understand, they are not doing any quality tests themselves. Chemically, Cipla is not testing the drug. And I'll repeat what she written for me. Sir, the quality tests are done by Reliance with respect to competitor Lucentis. Cipla does the quality reports, audit of all the reports. They're already auditing the reports. They are not chemically testing the drug themselves. Capillary electrophoresis reports are compared with Lucentis, ELISA tests, again, same thing. All the test reports are strictly audited and only then the batch is taken. Again and again, I asked her again and she said, our quality team gave us the okay in March. That's why they have delayed the launch. Any new batch, it will undergo all tests and Cipla audits. I agree to what they are saying. To what I understand correct, and I hope to be corrected if I'm wrong. They are not Cipla is not chemically testing any of these products. Reliance does the tests and Cipla says, go ahead. They have audited the reports. I have severe faith in Cipla. There's no doubt about it. But I have less faith than I have in Reliance. And I hope I'm wrong on that.
No, you're right.
Is Cipla in biological
if it's the other way around, I would have agreed. See, Cipla is making it and Reliance is marketing.
That is what is my
very important. One by one, please, one by one, so that we can hear all of you. Yes, AG.
Yes, sir.
AG.
Is Cipla into biologics or not? First question we should ask Cipla people whether they are into biologics or not, because Intas has a long track record of biologics. They are producing at least.
Let's Snehal WhatsApp to Saurav Sinha. Yes, Nati, you're saying something?
Yes.
No. What I was saying, I forgot. What is that? No. I think the same point as which Saurav mentioned, that I think we have the faith with the Cipla, but because the Cipla is doing with Reliance, that's why first question is, why did you do it? Because Reliseal is the one which they did also with me long time back. Then it was protected in between to a stop for some time, and again they have come back. So they don't have that, even though the name starts with Relial, it's not reliable still. So I think that is where I think we have to do some extra checks before we promote the Vizumab.
Mohan, your take.
No, I was also a little shocked by that statement because I thought these people were Cipla was into the what do you call the bottom of it, in the bottom of it as far as the quality control is concerned. But if they are going to audit just the reports of the quality control reports of Reliance, I think it's not only for us, for me, but anybody will have doubts about that, because somebody else is making the product and you are marketing it. That's all. And there's no way.
Audit is a managerial job.
Absolutely, I think it's a managerial job, and because in the ad board meeting, what the Cipla people were telling is that we are into the quality control totally. So we know exactly what is the molecule, what is the chemical analysis, everything they know. But now they are coming out with the new statements like this.
So is your confidence level going down now after having used?
I'm not sure because already I've used 3 of the pages.
Snehal has texted me to answer Avindra's question. Cipla does not manufacture in-house biologics.
Does not manufacture biologics. No.
So that means they don't have a lab to check for the quality. They have to outsource it.
I think it's very clear. I think it's very clear. They don't do any chemical testing themselves.
Such a big company. Why can't they have an R&D? Why can't they have such a big company?
No, sir. Biologics is absolutely a different field, sir.
Different ball game. I know that, but they should.
Yeah. So for biologics, you need another factory, which is you actually need reactors for E. coli and everything. There are multiple reactors for biologics. To create an reactors for it's something like atomic reactors. So they have to create reactors plus quality control for that.
I 100% agree with AG.
Hello, sir.
Till that time, yes, who's there?
Yes, sir. This is the Avis team. 2 minutes videos are playing by the Cipla video.
There is enough time. I think we have time till what time?
10, sir. Only 10 minutes, sir.
10 minutes, not 2 minutes. So we will give you 5 minutes. Don't worry.
Okay.
Yes, Saurabh.
I think one way out is I just thought because of what Aviditra said, what Professor Rajan also said, that and you and Dr. Natarajan had gone to Cipla's manufacturing unit in Goa. I remember you and me had gone to Ahmedabad.
I remember.
Intas plant, to see the Intas plant, and we saw the Intas plant ourselves. It was very impressive. That really changed my perspective. What Dr. Professor Rajan said, that you saw yourself, and like Dr. Avindra said, it's a different ball game altogether. Their chromatography, their lab, everything, we saw what they were doing. So if Intas, if Cipla encourages a few people from each center to actually go and see the Reliance production center, and what they actually do, it may give us some confidence.
Wonderful point, Saurabh. You have made very nice. You see, I agree. All of us sitting here or listening are for biosimilar, and all of us also want, like Samuel said, cheaper biosimilar, but we have to have the confidence, and the confidence comes for Intas. If Cipla facilitates our visit there, maybe our eyes will open for the benefit of our acceptance rates. So I think with this, let's let that video play. Somebody was telling.
Yes.
Who's going to play that video?
Side AV teams.
AV team is playing, or you want me? Yeah. Okay. Can you isko bada kar do? Dekhne do. We can't see the video.
The video is going there.
So can you exit this?
Sir, one thing is by far sure it's not biologic better what Sawmill has suggested. It's similar, it's not better.
Yeah, bio better का Sawmill थोड़ा word थोड़ा वो हो गया. Because the thing is, we would have been very
I didn't say it was better, sir. I mean for it to be better in the future.
If it would have been a great success for us.
Yeah, I never meant it to say that this is bio-better. It is biosimilar, but what is the way forward for that?
Saumil,
No, I agree.
Yes, sir.
I agree with this. What I'm saying is, it's absolutely good to see nice videos coming out, and you see these are very impressive videos. But till the time this molecule does the job safely and efficacy-wise, then I think all of us are ready to promote it, as long as we are 100% confident of its safety first, as everybody is saying.
Correct.
So
Saumil, I loved your colorful presentation. You are brilliant. And again, I'm telling publicly, I want you to help me, man, for publishing.
Sure, sir. Sure, sir.
You have to come, man. Now the lockdown is over. You have to come.
Nati, can
I will, sir.
we get some scientific discussion? You see,
this is scientific here. We have data and I want Saumil to publish it.
Time is only 5 minutes remaining. Saumil, and you can do some private chat later on. So
he doesn't call me privately. That's my problem.
I will.
Again, you are prolonging. So I see Hemant Murthy here. Hemant, did you hear all this and can you comment, or you are just a silent spectator? Mute.
No, I just joined, yeah, so I could only.
He's come for the next session or what?
Next session.
He's come for the next session.
Hemant, you got any experience with biosimilar?
Yes, I do use the biosimilar very. I've been using for a number of years now.
We are talking about Vizumab. We are not talking about Razumab. Razumab to pata hai. Vizumab ki baat kar rahe hain. That is by Cipla.
Uska, that is basically manufactured by Reliance.
Yeah.
I've just used it for a case or two, but that's all.
Safe. It is safe.
Any reactions?
No, I didn't see in those patients, but I think it's too early. I wouldn't like to comment on it further. Till I'm quite confident as Razumab, but not so much for this new.
Also, let me comment. Razumab also went through similar kind of exercise.
Absolutely.
We all had apprehension of Razumab also, and I remember talking about Lucentis favorable than Razumab. But ultimately, as the experience grew, personal as well as nationally, all of us got confident. And today, believe me, we do not distinguish between center side. AG is sitting here. We do not distinguish. In fact, we try to favor Razumab wherever possible.
Correct, because of cost constraints.
Yeah.
I think Vizumab also will become like that.
So one comment has come from Sangeet Mittal. He says Vizumab has replaced Razumab for CGHS patients. If you see in the chat box,
Punjab.
Yeah, Sangeet.
It's in Punjab, sir.
Punjab.
Sangeet?
So in Punjab, the CGHS patients are getting Vizumab now. Earlier, they used to get Razumab. Now they bring the Vizumab injection and we have to use it because it has been provided by CGHS. I have used it.
So what is your experience?
I've used it in 8 to 10 patients and I found no difference as such. But then again, it is very early on that.
So I think with these few words, let's try to conclude this very useful webinar. I think a lot of insights have gone into it. So the confidence will come by mutual sharing. Correct. If Sangeet now has told us, or tomorrow a lot of data comes from, say, Nati, Mohan Rajan, Saumil, AG and Hemant. So if we collate this data, and I will request Cipla to have one common performer, at least for initial few cases, for our mental satisfaction, whatever, that it is safe. It is safe. That will go, because ultimately we want safe, efficacy, and last, as Mohan was saying, cost. Cost is of important consideration, but cannot become the number one consideration.
And also, Lalit, I would like to say that few key people should visit the Reliance factory and find out exactly what is happening there. So that we can get the FIR, that is first-hand information report. Yes.
Nehal must be listening to this and she will take our message forward. And I think if there's no other point, we should, you see, there's only 1 minute left. Any last comment by Rekha?
No, sir. I thank all these retina stalwarts for sharing this experience. So we have whatever 50 patients who have received this Lucentis and 100 patients in this biosimilar. It was marketed by the Reliance only, sir. Not any major adverse events treatment related happened.
Even minor are bothering. देखा major की बात नहीं है, minor also are worrisome.
Yeah, yes, sir. minor. That's what I told you, sir. One death occurred that was not related. It was only after 2 injections. Then death occurred at home. The relatives told that circumstances told that maybe MI, and that is not related.
Any last comment?
Sir, I think the only thing is the issue that you are talking is a doctor should visit the factory. Are we qualified enough to assess these very refined processes?
No. Satisfaction work. Their protocols are very good. Not that we will understand too much, but you see, whatever said and done. Saurabh was telling when we visit Inta's production lab, it does add something. Some kuch addition hoga, minus to kuch nahi hoga.
I will just give one example. I will give an example. A few years back, I visited with the Appasamy factory in Pondicherry. Yeah. Then only I realized what are the extent of work they are doing and how reliable the quality control is. So unless you have a first-hand information report, you will get definitely convinced. So
I will try to convince Cipla people. I will try to convince Cipla people. No, because Cipla people to take Mohan, Natti, Saurabh.
All of us.
All the people.
All the people who are attending this webinar.
In the same flight.
No. I will definitely. This is serious.
I hope not virtual, yeah.
And second point, which all of us should agree is to work on a common performer and try to share experiences. That will build up confidence. With these few words, please allow me to conclude this webinar.
Thank you, Lalit.
Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye.
Thank you, Mohan. Thank you, Lalit.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Samil, for excellent.